What is up, everybody? Today we are covering the defenses, another very important part of your fantasy lineup. This is the last position that we have not covered, so we're going to be looking for new topics. So if you have an idea that you want a show to be dedicated to, whether that's sleepers or busts or it could be any sort of thing, anything fantasy football related, if you have any ideas, put them in the comment section. Again, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you to those of you that have subscribed. Thank you for showing your support. Is very much appreciated. I like the way we are trending. We are going up. So be sure to tell a friend, send them back here. And if any of you have fantasy football questions, as always, be sure to put them in the comment section, and I will answer them on the next fantasy football video. We do have a question, and this one is from Nathan, who was commenting on the Steelers' schedule, was saying, is 12-4 possible? Losses at Baltimore, at Cincinnati, at Cleveland, and at the Cowboys. Or 11-5 loss at Tennessee, too. Well, thank you for the question, Nathan. I appreciate it. I have us going 11-5, but 12-4 is definitely possible. If Ben comes out and balls, I definitely like the possibility of a 12-4 season. I think Dallas is going to be a tough game. I'm not sure if we need to worry about Cincinnati this year yet or not, and I'm not too concerned about Tennessee. I think they take a little bit of a step back this year. But definitely 12-4, 11-5, definitely very reasonable. Keep the questions coming, y'all. I love answering the questions. It's my favorite part. So be sure to ask anything fantasy related in the comment section. I hope to see that comment section blowing up. And again, be sure to tell a friend, send them here, like, share, subscribe. It's appreciated. So, to the defenses today. We have 5 elite defenses, in my opinion, or potentially elite defenses. After that, there's a big drop-off. That said, I don't think the elite defenses are as elite as they were last year. I do not think this is a good year overall for defenses, but starting off with number 1, it is my own Pittsburgh Steelers. I am a big Steelers fan, as you probably know, if you're watching for the first time. Yes, I do live in Michigan. I'm a big Michigan fan, but I'm also a Steelers fan. Maybe I'll get into that story another time of how I'm a Steelers fan, but I live in Michigan fan. Anyways, I am a big Steelers fan. I think I'm expecting a lot of things from this defense. We did lose Javon Hargrave, but I think the secondary is still going to be really good. Justin Lane, second-year pro out of Michigan State, I think is going to make a contribution this year. Joe Hayden, as long as he doesn't fall off a cliff, I think he's still going to be formidable. And then, of course, you have the pass rush. Cam Hayward, Stephon Tuitt, TJ Watt, Bud Dupree, and I'm expecting a big year from Devin Bush, and maybe even Terrell Edmonds can step up his game and be a big contributor on this defense as well. It's loaded. Yes, we are lacking a nose tackle that I would like to have, but I still really like this defense. They're my number 1 defense, followed by our biggest rival, the Ratbirds, the Dirty Birds, whatever you want to call them, the Baltimore Ravens. They still have some good pieces in the secondary, led by Marlon Humphrey. Don't have Tony Jefferson, but still overall, I think they're good core. They have a good core of young safeties and corners. They brought in Justin Madubuike through the draft. Got a defensive lineman from Denver. They brought him in to probably play either at D tackle or left end. And then you still have Matt Judon there. They still have a lot of really good pieces. And, of course, don't forget Patrick Queen, who was their first-round pick, who could be a game-changer for them as well. Wasn't a huge fan of him coming in and out, but the pick has grown on me more. He fills a need, and he can be a leader for that defense. So I'm also high on the stinking Ravens defense, sadly. The San Francisco 49ers is my number 3 defense. They did lose to Forrest Buckner, but they replaced him with Javon Kinlaw, who, when healthy and isn't bothered by his knee injury, was a freak. If you put on the tape of him at South Carolina, he was a beast. He was at points unstoppable against some of the best SEC teams, best SEC linemen. He's a freak. So if he is healthy and ready to go, I don't think the 49ers lost a whole lot there. If Richard Sherman can be formidable, I think the secondary will be good enough. And, of course, that front line, still with Nick Bosa and all the pieces they have, it's still going to be a really good defense. And of course, you have Warner, the linebacker, who's improving every year. So they have a lot of pieces. They have a good piece on every part of their defense. So 49ers is another good defense. My number 4, I almost put them at number 3, is the Buffalo Bills. Now, I'm not a big fan of A.J. Epinesa, but he is a good fit in Sean McDermott's system. They brought in Josh Norman, who had his best years in Sean McDermott's system. We'll see if he can return to what we remember Josh Norman being when he was relevant. And they still have some good pieces at safety. At linebacker, they have Tremaine Edmonds, who's one of the best young linebackers in the game. Still have Alexander. Still have a couple other pieces there. I think the Bills are a top 5 fantasy defense. Not sure how many turnovers they're going to get, but I think they're going to hold teams to less than 20 points most weeks. I really do. Every now and then, of course. You may see a little bit over 20, but I don't think you're going to be seeing them being inconsistent. I think you're going to get some consistent 10-point games from this defense. Chicago Bears finish out my top 5. They still have Eddie Jackson, who I was a huge fan of coming out of Alabama. I was hoping my Steelers would draft him. He's a ball hawk. He's an amazing safety. And they still have Khalil Mack on the line. They have pieces at linebacker. Still have Hicks. You have some other guys there as well. We'll see if Chuck Pagano can get that defense going to where it was 2 years ago. After the Bears, though, there is a drop-off, and I think it's something that fantasy owners should be concerned about. I wouldn't take any of those defenses probably. Maybe there'd be a couple I'd take, maybe around 9 range. But if those defenses are there around 10 or 11, I would probably consider taking them. If they're not, hope you get a sleeper defense. Maybe even consider taking 2 defenses if your bench allows you to, because there's not a whole lot of for sure things at defense this year. The Patriots are in this next tier that I'm talking about, but they lost Jamie Collins and Kyle Van Noy. They still have maybe the best secondary led by Stephon Gilmore and the McCourties. And I do think Chase Winovich, another Michigan man, is going to step up this year and be a big part of that defense. I think he's the next Clay Matthews, and you can see it in his game. He grinds, he's relentless, he's tough. I really like Chase Winovich. So I still think New England will be a tier 2 defense, not elite like they were at the beginning of last year, getting you 20, 30 points. The Denver Broncos is another one. I'm not sure how the locker room is going to respond to what Vic Fangio has said the past couple of weeks, but assuming that gets cleared up, I think the Broncos still have a pretty good defense. You have Simmons at safety. You have some good pieces at corner and at linebacker. You brought in you did lose Chris Harris, which will be a loss, but they didn't bring in A.J. Bouye from Jacksonville, who's arguably a top 5 corner. So I don't think they lost anything there. But I do think they are tier 2 defense. Of course, Von Miller is still there, so they're going to get an occasional sack. The Cleveland Browns, I actually have in my tier 2 defenses. You can get them a lot of drafts at the end, 15th, 16th, if your draft goes on, maybe even later than that. I really like Cleveland's defense. If Greedy Williams can become more physical, he could become one of the elite corners that we have in the game. Denzel Ward is still there. They drafted Grant Delpit. They brought in Carl Joseph. The secondary should be improved. You have Miles Helmet, unfortunately, still there on the front line, and they have some interesting pieces at linebacker with Sione Takitaki, Mac Wilson. Not sure if they still have Jannard Avery. Brought in a couple other linebackers. They have a lot of young pieces at that position. So there's a lot of pieces there. The next ones I'm going to talk to you about are my meh kind of defenses. I've got 7 here. You could go one way or the other with these, but I'm not super high on, not super low on. The Jaguars, the Titans just didn't address the pass rush. They brought in Vic Beasley, but they need more at the pass rush. They probably should have considered drafting Julian Okwara, maybe trading out of the first round. The Packers, they started off the season really hot on defense, and they started to slow down as the year went on. The Colts, the Saints, the Cardinals, they all have pieces, but you also see some big holes on that defense. Cardinals still lack someone on the inside and interior linemen. The Saints are still lacking someone opposite Cam Jordan. And the Colts, I still have questions about their secondary. So you have problems with all those. The Philadelphia Eagles, we'll see what happens with Darius Slay. I think he's going to be a nice add for them. They got him for a pretty good price. And they're going to move Jalen Mills to safety, from what I've heard. They brought in Davion Taylor, who's going to probably be able to play some safety as well. They also added some other linebacking help during the draft. So overall, I think it's going to be good. They're going to have one of the best lines in football with Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham. They have a really good defensive line still. So I'm expecting the Eagles to possibly be in that tier 2, not quite tier 1. If you miss out on your defenses early on, maybe the Eagles are one. Maybe our resident Eagles fan, Steven, can give a little bit more insight in the comments section of what he thinks of his defense. Finishing off things with defenses to avoid. The Vikings avoid. They lost all their corners. They didn't do an excellent job of replacing them, in my opinion. The Texans avoid. I think the Texans are kind of falling apart under Bill O'Brien. Dolphins, they're not ready yet. The Bengals, they're a year away or two from having a really good defense. Seahawks, I never know what to think. They don't look that great on paper. They lack help at corner. The Rams, they have Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, but they still have some missing pieces. They lost Corey Littleton. We'll see if Terrell Lewis can help on the edge. They lost Dante Fowler. Avoid the Lions and the Jets. The Lions have some pieces, but I still don't think they have. They're ready for this year. The Jets, they have some pieces, but they still lack help at corner. They lack a lot of help at corner. Still could use an edge rusher. We'll see if Jabari Zuniga can become anything. And I'd also avoid the Chargers, Giants, and Cowboys just because of missing pieces. Now, I have 5 sleepers I'm going to give you, and then we are out of here for tonight. The Redskins defense, because of Chase Young, of course, I think they're going to get you a lot of sacks. Maybe Jonathan Allen can really step up his game. Daron Payne is going to be a big part of that defensive line. Still have questions about the secondary, but one of my favorite sleepers is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were, I think, a top 10 fantasy defense by the end of the year for the last 6 or so weeks. Todd Bowles had that defense playing really good. So I think they're only going to improve. They still have their sack artist that they add from last year with Shaq Barrett. They have Vita Vea on the inside. And they still have some other pieces to work with. The secondary looks good. Sean Bunting, a guy I really liked last year. The Kansas City Chiefs, I really like Willie Gay. I think he's an excellent fit for Kansas City. And I think Tyrann Mathieu in the secondary made the secondary gels a little bit more. Still have some missing pieces. Maybe Juan Thornhill comes on the scene and can make a good duo with the Honey Badger. Panthers, they drafted all defense. I expect them to be a tough defense. Maybe by the end of the year they can be something formidable. And I think a lot of people are actually sleeping on the Panthers. I think they'll be a decent team this year. And then the Las Vegas Raiders, I'll finish it out just because we saw what Max Crosby could do last year. Maybe Clelin Ferrell comes on the scene. And they added some help at linebacker. And then they drafted Damon Arnett. I thought that was a little bit of a reach. But they do have some nice young pieces. Don't leave out Isaiah Johnson at corner. They missed out on Eli Apple. They didn't end up signing him, but there's still a lot of good pieces in that secondary, pieces that I think could be a big part of the new look Las Vegas Raiders under John Gruden. That is all for today. Again, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for the support that you've been giving me over the past few weeks. We will be back soon with another fantasy football video. If you have any ideas of what you want the next video to be about, put it in the comment section. And of course, any other questions, put them in the comments. I want to see that comment section blowing up, and I promise you I will answer those fantasy questions in the next video.